ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. The nectar of thy words revives the scorched spirit of human beings. They purify the sinner and are the life of the holy. To hear them itself is auspicious and peace generating. They are the real givers who spread thy name far and wide. Oh. Welcome to the Friday scripture class, and today's scripture is the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So, wonderful, monumental book uh, about which one author of the life of Sri Ramakrishna says, it is something unseen in the history of hagiography, that in the spiritual world, the book like this, where the conversation with the divine incarnation is recorded on the day itself as it is heard, most of it. Some are after in the memory, and few are there who am heard from the sources and then recorded here at the appendix. But mostly it was what he heard and noted down at the time itself. So very authentic, and in the words of Sri Ramakrishna, he has mentioned, and some through meditation in the incident day of the day. So the whole thing came to his mind like a picture, and he just noted it down as the thing proceeded on that day, mentioning the date, day, and the situation, atmosphere, moonlit night, how many people, what are the devotees, who was sitting where, all that details. We are on the chapter called Advice to an Actor, and this one today we're reading from the date 1884, May 25. It was a Sunday, and we are towards the end of that date. Advice to an Actor. We have been continuing this chapter for a few days. M's distribution of chapters heading doesn't actually mean that it will have advice to the actor is still continuing. So it began with the advice of the actor. That day was gone. Another day's incident also he put in the same chapter. So the chapter has nothing to do with much to do with the thing context itself. So chapter is the name given. Something of it was there, but other things are added on the same chapter. Just it divided the book into many chapters. So instead of having book one, book two, book three like that, he gave the name to the chapter because in the beginning was the advice to the actor who had come to perform a theatrical performance in Dakshineswar Kali temple on the Falaharini Kali Puja day. But after that was the previous another day incident. After that, he included of this 15th April 1884, this incident of in the April month of April. Okay, so sorry, May 25, 1884. Page 442 of the Gospel, we are continuing today. So it was a wonderful thing, Sri Ramakrishna, if you recollect the last Gospel class, one singer had come, a lady singer, very devoted, and there was an arrangement to have her singing done in the Panchavati, where all would gather and Sri Ramakrishna would be there and singing would be there. But suddenly storm came and they moved from there to Sri Ramakrishna's room. And all singing was there in Sri Ramakrishna's room. And such a wonderful devotion was created that Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi many times. And he went into the fervor of dancing, pulling others to dance. So a huge atmosphere and feeling of bhakti was roused in the heart of all. Sri Ramakrishna could do that. So that was the day. So much of joy was there. Lot of singing of God's name and thinking of God and all that. Let us read from this first line from on the page 442 that we're starting today. The master took dust from the place where the kirtan had been sung and touched it to his forehead. So, because God's name has been done, the kirtan was done with so much of devotional fervor, Sri Ramakrishna felt and wanted to show to the people that wherever God's name is sung, that place becomes holy, the whole room becomes holy. That's why where it was sung, he just took the dust of that place where it was sung. Verily, God's present there. As it is said in somewhere, the God's divine incarnation, Krishna says, I'm not in Vaikuntha, I'm not in Swarga. Naham tistami Vaikunte, Bhaktanam Hridayapina, not even in the hearts of the devotees, where generally God resides. In, but wherever there is the glory of my life is sung, I am verily present there. So God is definitely present in the Vaikuntha, definitely present in the heart of human beings, more evidently, more manifested clearly in the place where God's name is repeated, where God's story is told, where God's kirtan is sung, the song, what devotional song, what God is sung. So God is verily present there, even Sri Krishna says. So, like that, here Sri Ramakrishna says, this is the holy place where God's manifestation has come, and he shows by touching the place with hand and taking the dust of that place. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the semicircular porch facing the Ganges. The devotees sitting by his side. Now and then the master would exclaim, "Ah, Krishna Chaitanya." She was still full of the thought of gods. Ah, Krishna Chaitanya, because a lot of songs were sung about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, incarnation of God, and whose office, whose sannyasa name was Sri Krishna Chaitanya, was the name given when he got sannyasa. That was his official name. But people all lovingly called him Gauranga or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or just Mahaprabhu. So he says, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, that's what he says. Krishna Chaitanya. Master to Vijay and the others. There has been much chanting of the Lord's name in the room. That is why the atmosphere has become so intense, chanting and presence of Sri Ramakrishna himself. So that itself makes the room all intense with the devotion, with the feeling of divinity, with purity. It all feels wherever Sri Ramakrishna is there. And plus, he's saying that there was the singing of God's name. So if you don't feel the presence of the divine personality, we can make it by singing, by chanting the holy scriptures. Chanting of Chandi makes you feel of the God. Chanting of Gita, reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, all that make you the feel the presence of the Lord. If Sri Ramakrishna is present, nothing is needed. But Sri Ramakrishna says, because there was a lot of reading and chanting and singing, that's why it has become so intensely, the presence of God is palpable, it can be felt. Bhavanath. Words of renunciation too. So Bhavanath is more saying, one is love of God. I love God. I want to see. I want to visualize Him. Another way, philosophically, renunciation. The words of renunciation are also very purifying thoughts. And renunciation is something not very to be afraid of that. Oh, then you have no connection with anything, you have to get out of all your relations and your money and you have to become sannyasi. Not like that. Renunciation is taking of the mind from the worldly attachment, not to get attached to the worldly things. That is not to give the world the value more than it really is. World, the value of the world is not much. We by mistake give it more value, and that's why we get attached to that. Everything is like that. Your precious metals, your diamond, what is there? It is just the carbon modified. What we give, oh, diamond, it's so expensive. And you see the expensive, then you want to possess that. But it has nothing. It's just a stone, just a carbon like a coal in another form. Is that? Similar is gold or silver. They're all just metals and not even much useful like your, even the iron is much more useful than your gold. Gold you cannot cook in the gold vessel. Iron you can cook. So, but somehow the importance is given, value is given more in our thought, and that giving the value to the things of the world, we make it more valuable, and naturally we get attached to it. Similar is with everything in the world. Everything has to be kept in the right perspective. That's the wisdom is right perspective. So everything in the world, this life, our body, our relation, everything has its value. Otherwise, you give too much value to the thing which is not valuable. But like the property itself, life is so short. When we will die, we don't know. But we give so much importance to our property, our possession, our car. Too much of this thing. Oh, this car is so wonderful. I bought it with $50,000. So I bought this Tesla, and you give much more importance. After all, it is just a vehicle to transport you from one place to another. And our body itself is so temporary. When it will die, we do not know. All organs here, how it will work. So many organs are there functioning. Any organ may fail any day. Kidney, liver, lungs, heart, many organs are there. All they are working fine, but after all, they work quite for a few years, and after also they also get tired. As we get tired, oh, so much of work pressure at home. I get tired. No more doing that. Should I continue with this office? So much of work pressure, or should I go to another? We often feel. Body and organs also feel that I have been working so much for that. Now I cannot work anymore. Heart feels I am too much tired. From birth onwards, without any rest for even a second, I've been working 80 years, 85 years. Now I can't work anymore, sir. I want to take rest. God take rest and you die. But you had so much wish. I will have this house. I will get this promotion. I will earn so much money. I will pay mortgage. I will see my son growing. I will see my daughter having grandchildren, and I will have grandchildren. I play with grandchildren. All those things have no meaning in life. Anytime, anything can happen to this temporary body. It has nothing to do. Body may collapse by its inner organs, may have made an accident and die. So this we have to, when we understand the changes and this fragileness of the nature, that is called renunciation. You know that nothing is permanent. Nothing will give you joy also. Nothing will give you joy. You feel that, oh, if I get that thing, I will be so happy. No, not much happy. It doesn't give you too much happiness. It has much of it imagine, very highly imagine the things. Otherwise, there is nothing like that. Sometimes we give good color to the thing. Hmm? I want to make that person by gifting this. Sometimes you yourself want to buy something, and you don't need, you want to just, there is joy in buying. Because of that, you will find a person has so many sets of shoes, pairs of shoes, so many jackets. Why? You had already one jacket is not old, it's quite new, bought just 3 years ago. But new type is seen, and you fall to that. Sometimes what happens, some people are wise. They say, I want to give this jacket to another person, or these shoes to another person. Maybe there was desire to buy, just to have the fulfilling the wish to buy something, and that you cannot resist, and in the name of gifting it to other person, whether that person needs or not, you don't know, but still you will buy to give to that person. So that type also is that attachment to the thing, or enjoying just to buy something. That is also attachment to the thing. It's also not renunciation. In renunciation, you don't give much value to the thing of the world. So there are a lot of, and this renunciation is very purifying. What is impurity of the mind? Attachment to the things, greed, giving value more than what it has the value. Like those things are the impurities of mind. And wild dreams that I will live 100 years. Who told you live 100 years? How very few people live 100 years. 80, many people go. 80 is the maximum. 80, 81, 82, you will find that. And many die even earlier by anything. So just imagining for 100 years you start planning, and you die in any age, 75 you die. What is the think of that. So this imagining thing itself is attachment, lack of renunciation. In renunciation, you are aware of the changing nature of the world, and you enjoy the thing, enjoy this play of the world going on temporary. Like you have the flower, beautiful vase. You see how nicely our vase is prepared in our temple on Kali Puja. It was made so beautifully, like bright. Every flower was as if talking, laughing, so nice. But 3 days, 4 days goes, and the flowers start wilting. They grow old. Now you have to throw the all flowers that you have selected. So if you imagine that what is there for permanent, then you are mistaken if you are attached to something that will not going to happen. But seeing, feeling, knowing that it is temporary, yet you enjoy that, how beautiful it looks. Everything in the, to be always aware of the temporariness of the world, that itself is renunciation. And not to get a wrong idea of planning for long time. We do not know anything about the life, our life, or this creation, when what will happen, when you don't know anything. Try to make it there till you leave. Try to make your body fit, try to enjoy the things in a better way, try to serve others and have those fine enjoyments of serving others, giving joy to others. That is a great enjoyment. But everything is temporary and changing, nothing is for permanent thing. So this understanding that nothing is permanent, and for the time being we are doing that, that is renunciation. And renunciation is very purifying. That's why Bhavnath was a young boy, and he says how much there was not only kirtan and singing and dancing, and Sri Ramakrishna going to Samadhi. There were words of renunciation were also spoken there. How much Sri Ramakrishna spoke the words of renunciation of Sri Gauranga or Sri Krishna Chaitanya. The master said, ah, how thrilling. He liked this Bhavanath's comment. Then he sang about Gauranga and Nityananda. Gora bestows the nectar of prema. Jar after jar, he pours it out, and still there is no end. Sweetest Nitai is summoning all. Beloved Gora bids them come. Shantipur is almost drowned, and Nadia is flooded with prema. So they were distributing prema, prema of love of God, and jar after jar, and Shantipur is the Nadia is flooded, and Shantipur is drowned with the love of God. How much they are doing the sweetest Nitai, Nityananda, these two brothers. Huh? So, like the Sri Ramakrishna sang that beautiful song, how much they are giving. That's why those who spread thy name are the real givers. Thy name, God's name is spread here and there. Talk about God. So that is also one way to purify the environment. Talk something uplifting, something spiritual, something positive, and something inspiring. And that itself becomes uh, something that purifies the environment. It's a spiritual thing. Talk about God, talk about positive things, talk about something that people can understand, and their gloom is gone away. So that itself is Hudi talk. And those are the real givers who spread thy name far and wide. And when they try to spread thy name, thy teachings, thy words, they are the real givers, not the giver of something, wealth or money or something. This is much more. It stands for longer time. It really changes the thoughts of a person and enriches the person and removes their suffering. Other things are temporary. That also has some importance. But if you see gradation, as Swami Vivekananda said, if you give physical help, that is also you help the person. But you give them skills, that is a greater help by which the person can stand on his own feet. If you can give the spiritual knowledge, that will remove all his pain for throughout his life. He has got the wisdom. So that is the highest gift. Master to Vijay and others. The musician sang rightly. A sannyasi must not look at a woman. This is the sannyasi dharma. What a lofty ideal. from the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life that musician, that singer was singing, and that Sri Ramakrishna is reminding the hard life of a monk, the very ideal, spotless mind of a sannyasi. Vijay. Yes, indeed, sir. He also appreciated. Vijay also, I think, was a householder, but still the ideal of sannyasa. Swami Swahananda once said that this sannyasa ideal should be kept as the ideal for even householders. Ideal of sannyasa, renunciation, detachment, purity of mind, all that brahmacharya, all that ideal. Maybe I will not be able to reach that. Householder cannot be able to reach that ideal, cannot follow that ideal. But that is the ideal for a human being. And that ideal has to be kept lofty ideal at the top and guided spiritual life guided by such an ideal. Maybe top I cannot reach, but that is the ideal. That is what is said. All don't have to follow sannyasis, or sannyasis to be given so much importance that you get all the instruction from a monk for your daily householder's life, daily life in the world. So should I buy this property or not? What sannyasi will know that he will not. So you have to decide by yourself. But keeping the life of sannyasi so at high makes your what is the height that a human being can reach? That becomes an ideal for us to follow and respect for sannyasi in that way. So that's what Swami Swahananji once was saying. That's so wonderful way of. In some religion, the monasteries became so powerful actually, like dharmam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam was okay. Now sangha became so powerful. For little everything they used to have to go to sangha and ask their permission, their advice, and do the things. Hinduism doesn't believe in that. Sangha is for your spiritual upliftment or your mental peace or find the ideal of a human being. For matters of the world, you will have to decide yourself. Respect for the monk is fine, that has to be done. That respect for a monk says that how you respect the ideal of a human spiritual life. For that is the respect for the monk. So here that's why Sri Ramakrishna is emphasizing the purity of the monk's life, monk's mind. The sannyasi must not look at a woman. That song was there. Master, others learn from the sannyasi's example. That is why such strict rules are prescribed for him. A sannyasi must not look even at the portrait of a woman. What a strict rule! The slaughtering of a black goat is prescribed for the worship of the Divine Mother. But a goat with even a slight wound cannot be offered. A sannyasi must not only not have intercourse with women, he must not even talk to her. Means purity must be seen. That's what is Swami Sri Ramakrishna brings the example of a goat having little wound is not fit to be sacrificed. A person, a sannyasi, having little impurity is not sacrifice, is not it cannot become the example to the householders and cannot become fit to reach the Brahman. So that's why moral and ethical life of a sannyasi should be perfect without any flaw, spotless, clean life it should be. And that becomes what the householders can take that as the ideal, as the standard. Vijay. Young Haridas talked with a pious woman. For that reason, Chaitanya banished him from his presence. There were two Haridas in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life in Haridwar. One was Yavana Haridas, we all know that he was a Muslim by birth, but very devoted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and was extremely devoted to Sri Krishna. And in Puri, if you go, other saints, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he stayed, that place is worship, that is temple. There are two places connected with Evan Haridas. This Evan Haridas is called the Haridas. And one is where he stayed and did sadhana, and other where he was cremated, that place. So both places are holy, and people all visit and bow down to the memory of him. There are the images of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nitai and all that. It's very sacred and holy place. So that's how he became so famous and inspiring for others. Such a great devotee was this Yavana Haridas. There was another Haridas, young Haridas, very devoted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very kind-hearted. So one day, what happened? Some woman came, an elderly woman, and he had said, this Haridas, young Haridas, had become already sannyasi, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had told, have no connection with the woman, like you have in Christian monasteries sometimes. In what we see in Christian thing are the priests, which are not monks, but monks sometimes they live in some monastery where no woman goes. As one was the Mount Athos, one monastery someone had wrote in Prabhupada long back in Greece, Mount Athos. No one else other than the monks lived there, only monks. Nobody had ever gone. Like that, the strict rules have been made there. So he somehow, this lady approached and seeing a young monk, he just spoke, nothing there, mother, and with all reverence. And when it was, someone reported to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to set an example, he banished him from his discipleship, from his group. He said, you now go away from here because you didn't follow the strict rule of a sannyasi. Knowing fully that he was not impure in heart, he was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciple, direct disciple of Avatara. How can he be impure? But to set an example, he banished him from the group of devotees. Just to set an example, what strict rule is there? And Vijaya Goswami brings that example here in this conversation. Master, a sannyasi associated with woman and gold is like a beautiful damsel with a bad odor. The odor makes her beauty useless. So he gives the example of a person looking very nice, but body has a bad odor. So who will go near that person? Who will like that person? So some quality is there, but that is overpowered by some other vice. So, like that is the sannyasis who cannot have that thing that's associated with greed, for possession and the enjoyment. If there's found that, he may be the sannyasin, but he cannot perform the work of the sannyasin. So, because he is impure in his heart. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna says the strict rules for the sannyasin. Now he talks about his own example, Sri Ramakrishna says. So strange that how Sri Ramakrishna gives the example and ideal of sannyasis for these householders. No one is sannyasin here. No one is young sannyasin also, but gives this ideal of sannyasa to, because this gospel, he knew that it is meant for householders as well as for sannyasin. And he knew that M is writing the notes. It will be later on for this purpose. And sometimes he used to check with him, what did I say that day? So if something was wrong, he will correct. No, I didn't say that. It was this. So like that, he used to correct. He knew. That's why he often gives the example of the ideal of some monks, sannyasin. Once a Marwadi devotee wanted to give me some money. Mathur wanted to deed me some land, but I could not accept either. So, money and land. So, Sri Ramakrishna refused them because he was established in renunciation. So, like that, many times, many examples, short, small examples come. Someone came with some money and wanted to give to Sri Ramakrishna, and he said, "You may." Then he said, "No, no, I don't keep money." They said, "No, no, keep. You may need to pay for milk. You need to drink milk." He said, "No, no, I don't need anything." So he was praising so much. Now they went to Rakhal, and Rakhal accepted that. Then he says, "Rakhal has done that. I don't know. He didn't even like that." So that is what the renunciation Sri Ramakrishna had. Marwadi gentleman came and he wanted to give 10,000 rupees in that time. It was a huge sum, like 100,000, what 100,000? 1 million rupees might be a present time. And Sri Ramakrishna refused that. So he was pestering to give. He said, take some money, it will be useful for you, and all that, because he knew that. And Sri Ramakrishna said, no, don't ask me. Later on, he said, when he was pestering, I felt like a saw was being passed through my head, driving, it is being driven through my head and cutting me into two. It was so painful thinking of possessing money. And this Mathur also thought, after he's gone, who will take care of Sri Ramakrishna? And he said, I'll give some land in your name. He said, no, 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 I can't have anything in my name. He could not put even signature to get the thing. He Some money was given to him because he was priest, and as pension that was given. Holy Mother used to handle that pension, and but Sri Ramakrishna never had touched any money. So, like that was Sri Ramakrishna's total renunciation of woman and gold, or money, you can say. The rules for the life of a sannyasi are very strict indeed. If a man takes the garb of a sannyasi, he must act exactly like one. Haven't you noticed in the theater that the man who takes the part of the king acts like a king, and the man who takes the part of a minister acts like a minister? If all this life is a drama, we are performing the drama. One has taken the role of sannyasis, so he has to perform it perfectly. One has taken the role of a teacher, one has taken the role of a doctor, one has taken the role of a father. So all have to perform the role of a father or a mother perfectly. Though the whole thing is just like a drama, we have come here performing some roles. It is a drama. It's a fun to have the drama, but we should be perfect in playing our role, and that makes our this drama wonderfully successful and enjoyable. When the actor does to the best of his ability, not only the audience are enthralled, audience like, but even the actor will be very happy to have acted that way. There was one actor, I forgot the name, Bengali actor. He used to play the role of a villain. So in some movie, freedom fighter movie, he took the actor of some policeman who was arresting arresting the freedom fighters who were liked by the people. And he had once gone near the movie, and he was walking, and movie was just finished, and they saw that Chavi Mukherjee was his name, and they saw this Chavi Mukherjee and Chavi Vishwas, and they were so Chavi Vishwas. So the audience, the person was so angry with this treacherous villain in the movie. He came near that person in the life in the thing, and he spat on his face. And Chabi Mukherjee, Chabi ko ki bole? Chabi Vishwas. He took the handkerchief, wiped that spat, and folded it and kept it. He said, this is my highest reward for my acting. So much anger in the movie theater, and that person really becomes so much angry with me. Highest reward for me. So, like that is the acting done so well. So it is appreciated. It become so true. So as Sri Ramakrishna said to Nati Vinodini, I found the acting and the real same. Nati Vinodini was doing the acting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that Chaitanya Charitamrita one movie was going on. I mean, not movie, one theater by Girish Ghosh, Chaitanya Leela. And Sri Ramakrishna says, it reminded me of real Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and blessed this actress. So that's how one, not only the audience become happy, but even the actor becomes happy. So if we perform our duty as acting and perform the best way possible, then we feel so happy. And when the screen goes down and theater is complete, now it's time to go to green room. You feel so happy. I've done the best performance that way. And what is the green room? Quitting this world. That is our green room. We have come to the stage now doing the acting of father, mother, doctor, teacher, sannyasi, householder. So all we are doing in the best way possible. What about the thief? Here, should he also do in the best way possible? That won't make him happy. Because thief steals not as an acting. He really thinks it is real. If he could do that as acting, then there was no problem. What Sri Krishna taught to Arjuna was that everything is done, just do the performance, acting of as if you are killing. All are dead. All Bhishma, Drona, all are dead. Now do the acting as if we are killing. So for him, there was no sin of killing Drona and Bhishma, and all were done. It was the process of being done. So if a thief thinks that it is all done, I am performing the acting of a thief, then in that case, he won't do such type of thing, hurting others, harming others. But what happens is he thinks that it is real and I have to get the money to enjoy, totally in ignorance. That's why it is not acting for that person. He's engrossed in ignorance. That's why performing the acting of a thief in the best way possible will lead him. Oh, I did the acting so well. Now time to quit. I am that mukti for that, because he was not doing the acting. If one does the acting of something, that is fine. But why will he? Why he'll have to choose to do the acting of a thief or some corrupt person or criminal? Why he have to do that? All they do thinking this world to be real. If they know it is acting, they won't choose to really hurt others. So that doesn't fit here. But others, we all can take the role of the performance. So Sri Ramakrishna says that. But on attaining the state of a Paramahamsa, one becomes like a child. A child 5 years old doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman. But even a Paramahamsa must be careful so as not to set a bad example to others. So for Paramahamsa, they have no problem of being woman or man, because they don't find the difference between man and woman. All are human beings, all are devotees of God, all they want to uplift through their presence, through their teachings, through their conversation, they want to uplift them without any consideration of their gender. Even Sri Ramakrishna says Paramahamsa also should be careful so that others may misunderstand that he is with that, all the things. So he should be also careful not to set a bad example for the people who cannot understand that thing. For example, how this Krishna and Radha Leela. So it was so full of devotion and purity, perfect purity, without an iota of lust there at all. But how people with different mind, they explain the story like a boy and girlfriend and boyfriend going together because of the impurity in their own mind. So Sri Ramakrishna says one should be careful about that. It is not the mistake of Krishna and Radha. That is said this Madhura Bhava, highest ideal of bhakti, acme of bhakti has been reached there. But people have to rise to that purity. Then they fully understand the importance and joy of this Madhura Bhava sadhana, or the taking God as the sweetheart, what Radha had done. So that is not possible for other person to understand, and there is every chance of misunderstanding that. So that's what Swami Vivekananda had said. Unless you are totally free from lust, you cannot understand the real role of Radha Krishna. That is very, very difficult to understand. We will misunderstand, misinterpret, and the world does that. So you have to be pure. Sri Ramakrishna says that even a Paramahamsa who has no distinction between man and woman should be careful about setting example to the ignorant person, because this Paramahamsa, they come as the world teacher. They have to teach to the world, and among their students are wise, pure minded person, also the people who are not so pure minded. So to them to set the example. We don't know others have done, but Sri Ramakrishna used to do that. He used to be very careful about how people would mm, mm, take the things. So he says that. Why he gives the example of himself? Because even a person like Sri Ramakrishna is careful about setting an example. Paramahamsa, no difference between, he sees everyone as God. Even a fallen woman as a God, even a cruel person is a wicked person as a divine mother. He sees all the power of divine mother everywhere. Even he brings forcibly the idea of this world and the variety and the variation in the nature, seeing that quality and character of the person, and imposes ignorance of that and behaves with them differently to set an example to the people. Referring to Keshav's association with woman and gold, which had him hindered, which had hindered his work as a spiritual teacher, Sri Ramakrishna said to Vijay, he, do you understand? So Vijay and Keshav didn't go along well. So that was one thing. They were of the part of the same Brahmo Samaj, but something happened because particularly when Keshav Sen gave his daughter in marriage in age that had prescribed for the Brahmo Samaj, less than that age, he himself broke the rule that he had set for the Brahmo Samaj, Southern Brahmo Samaj. Then all became unhappy with him, and Vijay was also one of the reasons for that. So Sri Ramakrishna says, "He, do you understand?" So this Keshav Sen, so though spiritually so advanced, he was advanced as Sri Ramakrishna had said, but he said he could not fully realize God. He could not give because he was associated with the householder duties and with the he could not transcend his role as the householder, though a spiritual person. So he could not reach the stage which he could reach if he had detachment and total renunciation. He could practice that. He didn't do that. So he said to Vijay, and Vijay says, "Yes, sir. Do you understand he whom I'm talking about?" And he says, "Yes, master." He couldn't achieve much, very much, because he wanted to satisfy both God and the world. So you cannot serve both Mammon and God at one time, at once, says Jesus. So we have to give fully to God. So little service to the world in that way will happen, but greater service will be done to the world by spiritualizing that, setting an example, being more selfless. And but he was in the world, so he could not do that. He would try to. And they say that putting your feet on both boats, you have to cross the river. So that is very dangerous. You will drown. So that's he could not fully give up himself fully to God, and that's why he could not achieve the thing that he had the potentiality to achieve. Vijay. Chaitanya said to Nityananda, Nitai, I shall not be able to do the people any good unless I renounce the world. All will imitate me and want to lead the life of a householder. No one will try to direct his whole mind to the lotus feet of God, renouncing woman and gold. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to renounce. For him, he was fully given to God. But example was not there. So that's why they say if one is not has not fully renounced, it is difficult to become the teacher. And you talk about renunciation, and you have not renounced yourself, and mentally you renounce, but externally we see you are with your parents, with you are with your wife, and you are with your husband, and how you teach about full renunciation and full brahmacharya, people won't accept that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood he was incarnation of God. For him, there was no problem of getting attached to anything. But he said, if I do not do, people try to imitate me. And they will not fully give to the world. They will say, like people give example to Sri Ramakrishna. Oh, we'll be like Janaka. Many Brahmos used to say, we will be like Janaka, taking care of the kingdom and being the Purna Jnani, Brahma Jnani. So Sri Ramakrishna asked them, how many Janakas are there in the history of in India? Only one Janaka you find. So you cannot become Janaka by just wishing to become. So it is very, very difficult to be Brahmagyani and at the same time engrossed in the duties of the world. So, and here also that was that was the opinion of Brahmo Samaj. Brahmo Samaj didn't believe in renunciation. So not in Tyaga, not in Sannyasa. They say that be householder and have love of God, recite some mantras from the Upanishads, and try to meditate on that, sing the some glory of a formless aspect of God, and remain a householder, remain in the world with all the things around. But by that, you cannot progress much in the spiritual life. So that's what Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a mongoose whose tail was tied to a brick, and that mongoose wanted to cross the wall. And as soon as he reached the wall, that there was a pull from the because his tail was tied to the by a string, and the string was tied to the brick that was lying on the ground. He climbs to the wall and then feels the pull of the string. Then he has to jump back. He cannot cross the wall. So, like that for the householders, you cannot fully, absolutely given to God because there is a pull from the responsibilities of the household. So that is the one thing, and also that every person needs to renounce the world. Only those who are very big seekers of God, only them need to renounce. You see, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's case, renunciation and living in the world was so much he felt that he has to renounce the world. What a great exception is Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna, not by himself, his own guru said that you remain with your wife, she may stay with you, she will serve you, Holy Mother. Because I don't know, he understood the greatness of Holy Mother as the divine personality, who was herself so pure, like Sri Ramakrishna. But he said he understood the purity, strength of purity of Sri Ramakrishna's, there will be no harm. Very great exception. And you will find this after Buddha, is how this incarnations of God, Buddha, Sri Ramakrishna, Jesus, you can take Jesus, Chaitanya, Sri Ramakrishna. All have renounced the world. All are monks, and all are incarnations of God. Like that, it happened. So the God to teach the world has to renounce the world and has to detach themselves from the world. So it's because it is all in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga people are more inquisitive. They can question the thing, and they will not accept unless you see the example in Dwapara, in Treta and Dwapara. Rama was a householder. He was a great world teacher, and Sri Krishna was a householder, having at least two official wives and many wives. They say sometimes they say 1,600 or 16,000 wives. But he was a Jagat Guru, no problem. That was in Treta Yuga only it's possible, not in Kali Yuga. Here we are more keen. We want proof. We want to see you day and night. Sri Ramakrishna said, see a sadhu in day and also at night. Then only you accept that person. So not by just talking, but you have to set an example. Strangely, all these four incarnations of God had to renounce the world, and all were sannyasis. So that's why they became the Jagat Guru. Sri Krishna was Jagat Guru in Treta Yuga. So in Dwapara Yuga, sorry, in Dwapara Yuga. So like that, it happens. Master, yes, Chaitanya Deva renounced the world to set an example to mankind. He didn't need. The sannyasi must renounce woman and gold for his own welfare. Even if he is unattached and consequently not in danger, still, in order to set an example to others, he must not keep woman and gold near him. Woman and gold is not an object, woman and gold is mental state. So, about having the greed and desire for enjoyment. He must not keep woman and gold near him. The sannyasi, the man of renunciation, is a world teacher. It is his example that awakens the spiritual consciousness of men. It is his example that awakens the spiritual consciousness of men. So that was Sri Ramakrishna saying. It was nearly dusk. The devotees saluted the master and took their leave. All this talk was going on in the semicircular pose. If you go to visit Sri Ramakrishna's room in Dakshineswar, you'll find semicircular pores through which who came first, not Swami Vivekananda. I think EM came from that door. There were three or four entrances to his room, a semicircular porch near the Ganga, so facing the Ganga. So they were sitting there, and Sri Ramakrishna spoke that way. When Sri Ramakrishna knew Swami Vivekananda had come for a purpose, and Sri Ramakrishna used to inspire him in Vedanta, in Advaita Vedanta, in the teachings of high philosophy of Vedanta. And but Sri Swami Vivekananda was inclined to Vedantic philosophy, no doubt. But he had so much role in the house. He was the eldest son and had to take care of young brothers and sisters and widowed mother. So he was in great conflict whether, and now this renunciation was raging in his mind. Now one day he comes to Sri Ramakrishna to realize God. Is renunciation necessary? He gave this question. And Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, you want something and you have put something else above that. Unless you remove the thing that is at the top, how will you get the lower thing? Other that what is under that? How will you get that? So you have to renounce the world and you have to take sannyasa if you want to be a preacher, if you want to be a sannyasi, if you want to be heard all around. And Sri Swami Vivekananda was not the preacher, he was a world teacher. So Yeti Raja, he was the prince among all renouncing persons. So Sri Ramakrishna had that given that role to Swami Vivekananda. Renunciation was necessary for him to become the Jagat Guru, Shankaracharya Jagat Guru. There are some great philosophers of Advaita, and they had experienced Advaita knowledge as a sannyasi does, and they were not sannyasin. Our rishis in the Upanishads, many were not sannyasins, but some were there. There are people in the householders who are had equally valid expression and experience of the Advaita Anubhuti. But to become, for them to become the teacher or teacher of mankind is very difficult. They enjoy expression, they say something, and they may write some book which will be of some implication to the people. But unless you take sannyasa, we had some academy, we call Himalayan Academy. There was a teacher, very highly venerated teacher, um, and uh, and he used to teach the Advaita Vedanta Upanishad, wonderful expression. But he also had to add the name Swami before his name, though he was not a sannyasin, but he added the name Swami. I don't know if he was, his title was Swami. In South India, many have Swami titles. But still, that was the case. So one needs to do that. What our Swami Chinmayananda has done and what that this Advaita Vedantist, highly venerated, highly intellectual, and maybe had experienced the Advaita Anubhuti. But there is a difference between Chinmayanandaji's influence on the people and the influence of some householder Vedantist on the people. They can understand, they can give wonderful lecture, but it doesn't hold on for a longer time on the people. Those who come in touch with the realized person, that they have influence, no doubt. They can express and tell in such a way. But for the man of renunciation, it is more permanent, more widespread, and according to the experience and expression of that renounced person, it becomes more fruitful for the people at large. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna spoke about the sannyasa, taking example from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and the ideal of sannyasa that Sri Ramakrishna said. Swami Vivekananda, on the eve of his departure to the West for the second time, met with the brahmacharis and brother monks in Belur Math. And they asked him to say something. And Swamiji spoke there, the ideal of sannyasa, that was his short talk. It's beautiful, it is in the complete works. What the ideal of sannyasa is, what a sannyasin is meant to be in modern times. So there he says, sannyasin should love death, not be afraid of death. And by that he says, I don't want that you should die, but love of death, you are not afraid of death. And he said, love for humanity is another aspect of sannyasi. You must be ready to sacrifice yourself for the good of others. That is the ideal of sannyasi. Of course, this renunciation, detachment, purity of heart, that has to be there. But the ideal goes not only to realize for yourself, particularly the ideal of sannyasi of the Ramakrishna order is you become pure, you get the knowledge, you gain the love of God, but you preach that. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditabyam, as the Vedic Rishi said, you should not desist from preaching what you have understood. You study well, realize, and also spread that knowledge to others. That is also a part of the work of a person who follows religion. Otherwise, how religion will spread, how good thoughts will spread, how good message will spread. That is a very important part of sannyasins that Swami Vivekananda has given as the duty of sannyasins of his order. Thank you very much for attending today's class. Now we close with the closing chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padpadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmu. Next scripture class will be online only. It is a Uddhava Gita. It will be only online, no in person. Thank you very much.